And welcome everyone to another game in the MSL Code B SemiFinals. This is the second game between RatPoison and BrofessorX. The pink Protoss up here, of course, being BrofessorX, and his red Zerg opponent down here being RatPoison. So we are here on Acheron Wastes in the second game of the series, where BrofessorX took game one in a relatively convincing manner. There were some tense moments as he had Nidus networks in his main, but he handled it quite well and did manage to go up 1-0. So with this pylon here, it does appear that we're going to see another Forge first fast expand. Although the sneaky drone is going to try to see. Wow, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what is that, Scorpio? Turns out I got my astronomy merit badge, but I don't remember anything from it other than I think Orion's belt. So gonna see that there, and then we have a very early pool, the 10 pool, going down for RatPoison. So we'll see if the Forge is fast enough, or if he's going to be able to finish this wall. Because remember, this is a relatively wide ramp, so this takes at least a gateway, a cyber core, or another gateway, and then another pylon. So it's a lot more money, and we'll see if he scouts it in time. The spawning pool will be finished by the time this probe gets there to check it out. Yeah, another few seconds. However, he should know enough and have enough time to wall in. It's just if he has enough money to do so. He will. It would be really interesting to see if he blocks it. Does RatPoison try to block it? No, he does not. RatPoison gets the scout off, or BrofessorX actually doesn't. BrofessorX doesn't see it. He goes in, and he stopped. Okay, this could be actually really bad. He does build another gate. Usually you build the gate here and then put the cannon behind to protect it, but because the gateway has a lot more hit points than a cannon, it's 300 versus 1,000. And I don't think that BrofessorX saw the lings going out either, so this could be a little bit hairy for BrofessorX. There is one cannon, but there's nothing in the main, so the lings, if they run by, could cause a really big issue. We do have just more drones, so this is not going to be a super heavy, crazy Zergling attack. Oh, it's going to cancel. That actually is very costly to do. You lose a whole bunch of money doing that. But now the ling's getting the run by into the main. Is it going to be able to block his expansion? Okay, the ling's going to be surrounded and I think taken out by probes. At this point, there's enough probes that they can actually fight lings. Lings aren't actually that powerful, so not actually going to lose that many. I think he lost 3 workers. So not a big deal in terms of workers lost. It's actually the exact resources in terms of 150 from 6 Zerglings or 150 from 3 probes. So handled it very well. It was kind of a scary situation, but because there was no follow-up, not a big worry here. Interesting style of walling off, where he leaves a much larger gap than a normal wall, where it's only 1 zealot wide. This zealot cannot plug the hole, and 2 cannons don't really help block an 80 ling run by. Just want to point that out. This probe is going to make itself useful by scouting around. Not too much else going on. This here, though, is a little bit sneaky because his opponent does not know he's there, and this could be a perfect place for a Nidus Worm. There goes the Nexus, finally getting down. A little bit delayed because he's had to build additional units and cannons because of the threat of additional lings, even though there are not additional lings. The unit count, we do have, see, 16 lings to 20 probes, even though 3 probes did go down. Starting out with a 10 pool hampers your economy to the extent that you're actually behind unless you get a significant number of kills. So I think at this point in time, RatPoison is actually behind, especially with the hatchery block. It didn't block long enough, and he lost an additional 75 minerals right there as well. So that's a drone and a half. But he did correctly go ahead and get that 3rd base, so good job, once again, both of you guys knowing the metagame and sticking with it. He is going to be catching up in workers here, but I do feel he's still a little bit more behind, particularly as he does not have any sort of army at this point in time. Let's see, what else? We got some overlords checking things out. This overlord here will eventually get spotted when things start droning, or start mining. I'd like to see a little bit farther over here where you can tell when it's mining and you can get some sweet vision into their main for a Nidus, and not potentially just sacrifice this, this overlord. So a few more lings. These are just to take watchtowers, I believe, and just kind of check around the map. They're not speedlings. There's only one gas geyser down because he's been so mineral starved. He does have 5, 6 more lings in production, but he's still behind. It's just amazing how you can feel like you're making so many. You make 5 at a time, and then you're like, oh, I'll build something else now. In that meantime, your opponent has chrono boosted out additional workers. And he should be chrono boosting. Look at the chrono boost, very low. Excellent job. So I've said before, you know how a good Zerg player is a good Zerg player, or it should be a good Zerg player if they do their larva injects and they're spreading creep and their energy on their queens is low. Same exact thing for Protoss, except for that you look at chrono boost. How much energy do their nexuses have? Also, I'd like to point out, so far in this matchup, we have not seen a mothership core, which I feel is a terribly useful device. Also, some ridiculous queuing going on. That's another building, and mixed with that one, that's a nexus. So that's quite a bit of money. But given it doesn't appear that he's worried about having much of an army at this point in time. He's got a little bit of production here, but mostly he's dumping everything he has into producing more probes, which is a good thing. He's keeping up with his 3-basing opponent. So excellent job there. 6 more. Ooh, we do have a Void Ray though. So Void Ray coming up. We have Groove Spines for the Zerg, but there's no Hydra Den. And why would he? He's not seen anything that can come and attack him yet. There are a few Zealots here, but that would be pretty easy to take care of with a number of roaches. One spawning of roaches and you'd be fine. More gateways though, so this is just going to be a smattering of Void Rays and not a huge number. So Void Rays also now have changed a little bit. They're the same unit as they were before, but you know, previously Void Rays would charge up on things and then do more damage over time with their, you could tell by these little tines of these teeth. Each one of those would continually add, and when they're all 3, you're doing more damage per second. Now they've changed them, so then, nice job. Now what they've done is, it's a skill. It's called Prismatic Alignment. Yeah, plus 6 damage versus armored units for 20 seconds. And it has a cooldown time. And what this does, people generally call them skill rays instead of void rays because you're using your skill when, anyway. Skill rays have this amazing ability to be more useful in the middle of a map than previously, because usually you'd have to charge up and it would take a few seconds for them to get really good in the middle of a fight, but they were really good in base races. Now they're a little bit less good in base races and better in the middle of the map. So here, what do we see out of his opponent? Absolutely nothing. He should have seen this attack coming. He just doesn't have anything to respond to this. He's going to go down very quickly to this. There's still no units. He has 4 lings. That's it. He's over-droned. And maybe even not even that. He's only up to 50. We do have 12 roaches now on their way, but I feel like he's going to fall down. He's going to lose to this attack far before then. The queen here going to try its best, but these skill rays going to just simply rip through everything. This spore crawler gets up and is going to do a few points of damage, but not going to be able to take out one of these at all. Another queen did pop out. Was coming here for additional air reinforcements, so wisely abandoning this base, trying to build up some more of a defense. These spore crawlers here are going to help out a bit, but these skill rays are now no longer skill rays, they're just regular void rays. And these roaches should be able to help out quite a bit, but he needs to be engaging right here at the back, so these spore crawlers can help out against these void rays. There, now he's fighting where the void rays are not as good. They really can't come and attack as much. So it looks like he will be able to hold out against this, but just ever so barely. He did lose that base, and it looks like he's probably going to feel like he's going to need to counterattack. And I don't know if he has the necessary army to go do that. There are more reinforcements streaming across the map from ProfessorX. He does smell blood in the water. He wants to get this game done and won. And with this, he will be into the finals. Because remember, this is the semifinals. So, does clean up the reinforcements. This void ray being ridiculously annoying, even killing the larva. Poor larva. This wall right here is actually not that intimidating. He could just walk his way in, but I don't feel like there's enough roaches, and there are not enough full health roaches to be a really big threat here. Especially with the skill ray there, not a big deal. The stalkers will be able to repel that with these cannons, while this cannon does dutifully get an additional attack. So the void ray here was being distracted by larva, which have like a ridiculously high armor. We do see a Hydra Den coming down, so it's a good choice. And RatPoison does have a vastly larger supply count somehow. This void ray here going to be pushed back. Not going to be able to do too much here. There isn't macro hatch in the main base. The army size for RatPoison is much larger, just not really able to make much of it work. I would have gone and I think counterattacked here. If there's a big wall here, why don't you just go around it? Or a Nidus Worm. You have ability for Nidus Worm. However, we do see some additional robotics facilities coming out. There is no Robo Bay yet. And now that's going to be shot down. It's going to get closer to a supply cap. Lots of roaches. This void ray was cleaned up. Nope. It's actually doing its best to clean up all the additional overlords on the map. This is very similar to what Terran players do with Vikings, where they go overlord hunting. It's actually a really good strategy. I suggest, even if you just build one, and it's a little bit annoying, it can really throw your opponent off, because a moment ago, BrofessorX was fighting against a Zerg player who had 120, he had a supply hat of about 20. Now he's down to only 2, and he's maxed again. So he did successfully supply block his opponent, and now he's just waiting for more upgrades before he goes and attacks again. Against this type of composition, you want lots of Lings and Hydras, mostly Hydras. Although Lings would be really good as well to kind of zone out these. Hydralisks don't take extra damage from Void Rays or from Stalkers. The Roaches do. However, they're not supposed to be at the front. They're going to fall very quickly, and instead will not be able to take out as much. Hydras have tons of DPS, but with the Void Rays here over top, they're just not going to be able to do enough, and now it's just Void Ray and Stalker versus Roach, and that's going to go very quickly. RatPoison just seeming a little bit broke. Hydras are just very expensive, and he's had to keep rebuilding. He built a whole bunch of Overlords all at the same time. Because, once again, he was supply blocked from all of those. That single Void Ray hunting everything down, so causing additional damage everywhere you look. Overlord's trying to retreat as slowly as they can. He is super ugly. It's not like they started out attractive either. And I think RatPoison's feeling a little bit frazzled at this point. He does have additional energy on his queens. He does have a huge amount of gas, but nothing else. He's spending a lot on minerals somewhere. Looking at his units, he is down. He is behind in the worker count. He's not really able to saturate any of these bases because of what has been happening. And now with the Archons here, they're able to tank their way through things and do a pretty good job. They also do splash damage. That's the big thing. So something interesting about gateway armies. Gateway armies can actually be pretty good until you start having huge armies that you fight against, because they only do damage to single units. That's when you need something else. And almost every single Protoss higher tech unit is... Wow, that Archon died so fast, but these Void Rays are going to take out all the Hydras, and the Roaches are not going to be able to deal with the large number of Stalkers that are here. And it looks like BrofessorX will probably take this to an early 2-0 lead over RatPoison. He's making his way right into the main, doesn't care at all about the expansion, not going to waste any time with that. The Spore Crawlers are going to get a few shots off. He's focusing down the Hydra Den immediately, does not want to deal with that, and RatPoison feeling a little bit sad about that game. Leaves the game without a GG, and looks like he's going to be very amped up and ready for Game 3. Usually if this happens, they're looking for revenge. So hopefully this turns into a full best of 5, but we'll see. Stay tuned for Game 3.